morning, ladies and gentlemen. iHeartMedia, KFAN Radio, and the 9 to noon real estate feel it's very important that everybody here, including those with the 9 to noon tandem, know something. They traded Mike Conley.
Oh my God.
Which means if you add Adam Thielen into the equation, our favorite teams keep trading Barrero's favorite guests. Wow. I mean, if Joe Ryan heard that, he'd probably join Bump Daily for free. That's a joke. Just kidding. That was a joke. I'm just kidding. Joe Ryan's my favorite player. Jeremy Zoll, my favorite GM. All righty? It is now post time for 9 to noon at FM 100.3 KFAN. Coming up here momentarily, a head coach of one of the very hottest teams in the National Hockey League. You know those guys.
Well, we'll see if the big save by Gustafsson and the iron unkind there on Montreal moments ago give Minnesota a little life. Johansson steps free, favors it alone. He scores! Brock Faber beat Domas 5 holes. He got to the loose puck right circle, and this game is tied at 3. Oh, good. Hughes through the slot, pushes it back boldly outside the right circle. Refeeds Hughes. Hughes with a couple of assists tonight off the Kaprizov, shooting one. He scores! Kaprizov with another overtime winner as the Wild top the Canadiens 4-3 in St. Paul. Let's play hockey!
Nearing time to drop the puck on 9 to noon.
It's time to drop the puck.
Hynesy.
Little puck talk.
Sending out a metaphorical, symbolic carrier pigeon. Hynesy.
Doing that now.
Hynesy.
Little
puck talk.
Little bat signal.
Yeah, the Wild, they hook the Nashville Predators on KFAN this evening. It is the final game before the Olympic break. I think Brodsey, Exy, Fabesy, Quincy. I think there are 8 of them. I think it's like 8 players heading to Milan, Italy for the Olympic festivities, which begin very soon. Hynesy, part of the Timber Check What's on Deck set list, 9 to noon today. We have some Covenant catch-ups taking place today. Nordo has been in 10 of 10 show organization mode this week. And the young man, the conduit, the surrogate brother, has been in touch with a man named Gary Kubiak. Gary Kubiak for Super Bowl stories. And what's that take place? About 9:45 there, Mr. Nords?
I believe it's 9:40 today. Yes, indeed.
Gary Kubiak, Super Bowl stories with a 4-time Super Bowl champion as a coach. And he also won a Super Bowl as head coach of the Denver Broncos 10 Super Bowls ago. It was Super Bowl 50. And his son, Clint Kubiak, more than likely will become the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders and the former Minnesota Vikings offensive coordinator. Clint Kubiak is the offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. Also, Kevin Harlan, Elite Vox, he'll join 9 to noon tomorrow. Kevin is going to be calling his 16th consecutive Super Bowl for Westwood One and on KFAN, and 17th overall. That's the Who Says 9 to Noon Doesn't Tease. All right? That's the Timber Tech What's on Deck, timbertech.com ultimate tease portion of the equation, because Kevin will be joining tomorrow, and we think you're going to want to hear that. Gary Kubiak is in the mix today. The scribe Ben Gessling from the Star Tribune, loving friend Ben Gessling. He'll stop by about 10 o'clock and discuss some football-related items, plus much more coming up in the final hour of 9 to noon. But first,
let's play hockey!
And let's begin with John Hynes, coaches the Minnesota Wild, winners of 4 consecutive and victorious 14 times since Quinn Hughes joined the Covenant. Tonight at Nashville on the Fan is the final game before the Olympics break. where John coaches with the team and Team USA, and a bunch of his players will be competing with and against each other. Coach also is a New England Patriots fan since childhood. So let's get Super Bowl 60 out of the way first, Coach. Hey there, John. Did you perchance enjoy some fine music on Broadway last night after beating Montreal?
Yeah, hey PA, how you doing, man? Good to thanks for having me on. But no, I didn't. I actually went to dinner with a couple of my neighbors from when my time was here, so it was nice. I've had enough of the Nashville music.
Yeah, right.
Living here.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we'll get to that momentarily. Like Nashville. I mean, like, when's the last time you sang karaoke?
Long time ago. I don't think you want to hear that, PA.
Have you ever?
Yeah, when I was younger. I'd say not in the last 10 years.
All right, Super Bowl 60. I like your Pats to win, but everything about me is ice cold right now. How do you see the game?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a great game. I mean, both teams are good. Both teams are tough. I'm hoping the Pats can pull it out. But Seattle, I mean, their defense is great, and I mean, both teams are there for a reason. So hopefully, it should be. I just hope it's a great game, and then the Pats come out with a W.
So let's 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's like, what is it, like 2:30 in the morning, Milan time, something like that?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be seeing that one.
Oh, geez. What's your favorite team? I mean, it's childhood favorite team. You might need. Well, you probably got practice.
You might have to sacrifice a little bit. Yeah, I agree.
I understand that. Do you find your games with the Wild? Do you find your games against Montreal fascinating, or just run of the mill games? And I have a point to this.
No, I think both. I thought last game we played them. It was pretty high tempo on both teams. It was a pretty exciting game. I think that they had some. They're a quick, fast team, and they test you at times defensively. But I thought that for the most part we did a good job. We got 2 saves when we needed them, and then I thought on our part too. When you go through the game, I thought we played fast. We made plays. We had a lot of good scoring chances. So it was probably a pretty exciting game to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's being the coach, you sweat it, you watch it, you coach it, you grade it, and stuff like that. Then you got to move on to the next one. But from a casual observer standpoint, or like just a fan watching the games, here's what I meant. Like at Montreal, I mean, there's just such dramatic stuff in those 2 games between you guys. At Montreal, Caulfield late, then you get that rush that was stopped. Then you come here, goals at the ends of periods, then to start the next, tight quarters most of the game, despite their speed, your unusual amount of cool stretch passes, and looking from afar, that seemed to be absolutely part of the plan. I mean, if Montreal was in the West, I think you guys, I think it would turn into a cool rivalry, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I think so, just the way the 2 teams play and how the games have gone, for sure.
John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild. Are you packed for Milan?
A little bit. I'm going to hit that up probably tomorrow. So I fly out to New York on Friday night, and then we fly over to Milan on Saturday. So I'll do some packing stuff tomorrow, Friday morning.
Ryan Carter said it on TV the other night, but like USA Sweden and Faber and Eki pounding away in the crease. Now that excites me. How do you see it as a guy who coaches them if it happens?
It'll be a challenge. That'll certainly be I think a rivalry within the game, but I'm excited for the guys. I think I think anytime the guys get to play in high stakes environments and high stakes games where there's pressure to win, you're playing for your country, you're playing best on best. I think it only helps our players get better and gives them experiences. Those are the types of experiences that you want to be able to have. So when you get in them in the Stanley Cup playoffs, you have guys that are seasoned and test themselves in those environments. So I think it's going to be great for our group.
And last time a lot of these familiar names got together, it was the Four Nations. Now, no Quinn Hughes in the Four Nations. John was a coach on that bench too. How close was Hughes to the tournament before he got hurt?
I think he was trying the best he could to get there, but I think we had a pretty good idea. I'd say about a month out that he wasn't going to be available.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that has to be a tough one to take. Is tonight a strange one that comes with a little bit of caution because so many on the squad are on the move to Italy right after tonight?
Yeah, it's always cause for concern as a coach. I think you want to be able to these games are important, but, these games before a break, particularly, I think that, you always want to make sure that you're focused in and it's not about what's going on next, but, there are guys that have a lot of things going on, whether that's getting ready to go to the Olympics or, it comes to a break, either way. So it's something that we'll certainly, address with our guys, but we got to be dug in. And, these points matter as much as any other points. And our job is to make sure that we're focused and ready to play.
Third Quinn Hughes reference, if you don't mind. In the 24 he has played here, the Wild's goals per game have soared to third in the league, and the power play is all the way up to second. Now, it's not all him, of course, in this team game, but he gave you 33 minutes in that Montreal game the other night after Hunt went down. Did you know it would be like this with Quinn Hughes when you acquired him?
No, I mean, I think Quinn's a unique, he's a unique player. I think, he's got obviously his offensive abilities and his ability to make plays. And so he's a threat in multiple ways. He can threaten you off the rush. He can threaten you with his shot. He can threaten you with his speed. He can threaten you with his passing. So when you have that combination of a player and he's a competitive guy, he's difficult to defend. And I think as far as his ice time, sometimes we get caught with 5D, so it pops up to 33 minutes.
Yep.
But he's also a player, similar to Kirill and some of the guys we have. These guys have big engines. They're in phenomenal shape. They take care of themselves. They're naturally talented. So they do have the engine to play more minutes than most people.
Brock Faber has 7 goals since Quinn arrived. What's going on there with Brock?
Well, I think they're pushing the pace from an offensive perspective. I think Faber's I think he's playing a faster game than he has in the past. I think he knows what he's going to do with the puck before he gets it. I think he's using his feet. He's skating. He's triggering the puck. So just the tempo of Brock's game from an offensive perspective has elevated.
John Hynes, coach of the Minnesota Wild from Nashville. Final game tonight. It's on KFAN before they head to Milan in the Olympics break. Just a couple to close here, John. Thanks for the time. And if my discernment is correct, you have a team that really, really cares about perfecting the finer points of the game and always is looking to make each other better. Am I close with that analysis?
Yeah, it's a fun group to coach in that way, that they're a close-knit group. They're coachable. They work hard. And, as you said, I think that they're willing to accept coaching. I think, they understand how it's nice when you have a group of players that understands how you want to play and the details you want to play with. And they're committed to that. And, even this year with the schedule, it's difficult to practice. I think when you look around the league with the intensity level of the schedule, it's hard to practice as much as you probably like, but our group does a good job, I think, of learning through video and taking the concepts that the coaching staff presents to them. And, for the most part, they're on task most nights with the details that we want to play with.
All right. Lastly, as a head coach, John Hynes won 110 games with the New Jersey Devils. He has won 112 and counting here, and 118 leading the Nashville Predators. What did you enjoy about your time coaching the Nashville Predators?
You know what? It was I enjoyed the players. I think it was, it's a good place to live. I think the group of guys and the coaching staff that you worked with were great. And, a lot of, it was more of a veteran team. So I think, learning and how to deal with, those types of players and the differences between young players and veteran players and things like that. And it was, it was a great opportunity for me, to change, because I went from New Jersey, which was a young team that was in a full rebuild, to going to Nashville that, was a team that was going to be a playoff contender and, a little bit of an older group that was ready to, they were kind of still in that pushing to win now mode. So, it was really enjoyable to have two different opportunities as a coach. And I think it's helped me grow, and now here in Minnesota, I think that those two experiences prior to here have certainly helped.
Hey man, if the time works out, you think maybe we can call you over there if things get rolling and exciting in Milan and like you guys are getting close to the gold?
Oh, yeah, I always got time. Always got time.
You're great. Thank you. Safe travels. Good luck tonight, all right?
All right, PA. Thanks, man.
Yep. See you, John Hynes. John Hynes. He coaches the Minnesota Wild on the radio this evening. Tom Reed analyzes, and Budsy is the play-by-play voice for the KFAN Minnesota Wild vast and ever-expanding audio network. Budsy O'Donnell and Tom Reed this evening on KFAN from Smashville. TimberTech.com. Thank you very much. The one noteworthy appointment-ish radio we think you should find today would be about 2 hours from now. Gilbert, Minnesota native Bernie Kukar, who was a referee for 2 Super Bowls and a National Football League official for 2+ decades. Uncle Bernie's going to join the radio show today and talk about officiating and what it's like doing games like that. Uncle Bernie at about 11:25. You're listening to the 9 to Noon radio show at FM 100.3 KFAN. Eric Nordquist is the producer and the organizer of the Covenant these days, and he's also the one with all that cash in his pocket, and he's set to give it away.
Yeah, as well as iHeart Media / iHeart Radio, we got some cash burning a hole in our pocket right now. We call them bonus bucks. And the fan wants to give you a chance to win some of them. So all you got to do, you go to KFAN.com, and you're going to enter the keyword credit. You got a chance to win some bonus bucks with keyword credit. You just enter that in now, KFAN.com.
One of my favorites.
Fox.
And for many reasons. He's a dear friend, a confidant, and a longtime play-by-play voice of the Atlanta Falcons. Mr. Wes Durham, ladies and gentlemen, has joined the Love Covenant. My man, how frequently do you do ACC and or college basketball these days? And if it's a lot, like, who's looking good?
Welcome to the world of, you think the NFL is crazy. Wait till you get to college basketball where rosters change every year.
Right.
Let's see. Nationally, I think Arizona is probably the best team I've seen. Haven't seen them in person, but I've watched them 3 or 4 different times. I think Tommy Lloyd does a really good job putting new guys together. PA, I think that's his secret sauce, to be honest with you. And he's got a talented team. In the ACC, I'm doing 2 or 3 games a week, depending. I'm at Louisville tonight for Notre Dame in Louisville. I think there are probably 6 really good teams in the ACC when they're completely healthy. I think Louisville's in that group. I think NC State's in the group. Clemson's in the group. Virginia, Duke, North Carolina, who the Devils and Tar Heels play Saturday for the first time this year. But like a lot of college basketball, and you're probably seeing it up there, the proliferation of young players, Paul, I think it's kind of refreshing. I don't think anybody expected it to be as impactful as it is. But there's 6 or 8 young guys who, came straight from high school or playing college ball, and they're impacting the game. And I think it's first time in probably 20, 25 years we've seen this amount of freshman talent come into college basketball and really kind of take over. And I think it's been fun to see.
And Wes, in the day and age of the transfer portal, all right,
Sure.
Fred Hoiberg, whom I've known for 2+ decades, man, I love Fred. He was on the radio show a couple of weeks ago, and he has this player named Jamarcus Lawrence. All right, have you ever seen this? Lawrence started at Nebraska, got sour, left, went to Rhode Island, had a good season, but didn't like being in Rhode Island and came back to Nebraska. Have you ever seen that in the portal?
Yes. And believe it or not, back when we had the 2 windows in college football, I saw players, in fact, I can name 2 or 3 guys that left their team in the January portal, went somewhere, had a spring ball, and then came back to where they were. And I mean, I had 2 or 3 of them on TV this fall. And I say after a semester sabbatical at Georgia Tech or a semester sabbatical at Florida or whatever the case may be. And it just goes to show you how just volatile the entire process is right now in college sports.
Yeah.
I mean, we got rid of it in football with only the 1 transfer portal, so we stopped the semester sabbatical. But no, there are a handful of basketball players and 2 or 3 football players that I can think of that went away for a whole year, played, and now came back to where they were. Yeah, There was one player at Syracuse who left Syracuse, went to LSU, and came back to finish at Syracuse this past year.
Well, that's crazy. I mean, to whom? I mean, just something about that sounds wrong, but I understand that. Yeah, well, I mean,
it goes against everything we grew up. It goes against everything you and I kind of invested in when we became college fans, right? I mean, it's the 3-4 years. And look, I don't have a problem with the pay of the kids. I have a problem with the administration of the payments. I have a problem with the structure of all this because I think universities are going broke, but that's a whole other issue for another time.
Indeed, and it won't be broached here. You can preach with that last comment you just unfurled. That was beautiful. Now but I mean, to whom much is given, much is expected. So, these college coaches, specifically the ones, who are of the upper echelon variety, they make tons of cash. So to whom much is given, much is expected. But you would know much more about it than me or us. With college football and basketball, it probably never has been harder to coach a team, lead a team, constantly be recruiting your own players to stay for the next year during the season. I mean, it's tedious right now for these coaches, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I have said publicly before, and I'll say it to you, I think the hardest job right now in all of sports is to be a head football coach at a Power 4 school.
Wow.
Because you have essentially, when they get all this rev share thing worked out, you're essentially going to have 100 scholarships or 105 as opposed to 85, right? But no walk-ons, technically. But you'll still have them, I'm sure. But the idea that you have to retain and recruit, and to be honest with you, every school's a little different because of where they are academically. And when's the last time you heard of somebody flunking out of school? But the idea for me is that a college football coach at the biggest level, the highest levels, take PJ Fleck there in Minneapolis. He's got however many he thinks can contribute, plus guys that he knows he might lose for one reason or another. They don't play enough or what have you. And there's a trickle down for him. At the lower levels, there's a trickle down and a trickle up. You go to an FCS school that maybe has some success, and they're losing players up as opposed to down.
Wow.
Well, PJ Fleck gets them from across. He doesn't get them from up anymore. He takes them, and that's the sheer lunacy of the thing is, it's so volatile that you don't know if you got 100 guys or 85 on scholarship, whatever number you want to use, your retention rate might be 50%, and that's pretty good if it's 50%. Last year, North Carolina added 74 players, brand new football players in Bill Belichick's first year. 74.
Right.
You can't live like that, PA. It doesn't work that way.
Well, yeah, you can't win like that either, as they learned, because, I mean, football, like hockey, ultimate team games. I mean, just to get 4 yards, A has to go to B, has to go to C, has to go to D.
No question.
And if E messes things up, it's a tackle for loss.
Yep. It's crazy. Sometimes it hits. I mean, you can get a culture shift go in. You get the right guys. A coach leaves. Signetti probably at Indiana, the best example here recently, and had success with it. But he's different. That guy's a savant in many ways. Kurt's done an unbelievable job there. I mean, and I saw him where he coached at my school at Elon in North Carolina for 3 years. He was terrific. But I think you've got to understand how volatile this process is when you start wrapping your arms around it. And I think we're going to see brand names struggle. I think the brand names that we were accustomed to 10, 15 years ago, some of those are going to fade here in the next couple of years. And there's some that are teetering right now. And I think it's really tricky how you stay afloat. And in some cases, it's probably costing as much as $40 million a year and paying players to do it.
Main man, Wes Durham.
Fox.
He's calling a bunch of ACC basketball games on TV this week. And he also is the longtime play-by-play voice of the Atlanta Falcons. With the Super Bowl on the horizon, really the reason for the call was to start here that you're going to love Stefanski over the long haul. Kevin Stefanski, new coach of the Falcons, and he'll probably coach the team for many years. What do you think about all this?
To me, the whole reorg at the front has been a positive for Atlanta. I think Matt Ryan coming back as the president of football, you're bringing the best leader the franchise has ever seen back in the building. And you know this. We've all seen guys who played in the NFL come back to be administrators. And depending on their makeup, I think judges their success. And I think Matt's got the right makeup to be successful. You can feel an energy in the building. I thought Kevin was a terrific hire. They had to get a former head coach in, a guy who has seen it kind of at all levels, and I think he clearly fits the bill, as you know, there. And then Ian Cunningham announced yesterday as the general manager in his press conference, and he hit all the right notes to me. You value the draft picks, and then you accentuate from there. He says that with Atlanta only having 5 picks, but as he reminded folks yesterday, a couple of years ago in Chicago, they had 5 when the regular season ended, and they ended up in the draft with 9. I think that means that, look, he's going to try and build as much as he can through the draft, which is smart because, you know this, the volatility of the cap kind of dictates what you can and can't do with guys who are on expiring contracts. That's why it's always interesting to me. People want you to make decisions and referendums in October when you don't even know what the cap's going to be for the next year until January, right? So, but I think the Atlanta reorg has been successful so far. I like the staff Kevin's putting together. I'm excited to see what Tommy Rees brings to the table. And then Jeff Ulbrich, keeping him as the defensive coordinator, PA, I don't have to tell you, Atlanta kind of got it figured out on that side of the ball this year. And keeping Brick as the DC with some of that young talent they had is pretty exciting for people in our market.
How good do you think or expect Stefanski and Cousins to be together?
I don't know. I think the Kirk Cousins situation with March 13th looming, Paul, is a really, really tough equation to work out right now.
Wow.
Because I'm not sure it doesn't require, now this is just me, I'm just not sure it doesn't require some sort of reorganization of the contract.
Right.
There's just so much money involved in Kirk's deal that if you were to take him and say, okay, where do we value Michael Penix off the ACL? And everybody knows his injury history. Kirk has shown you the ability to win games. And you got to remember, you have 2 things that most other guys don't have with this quarterback equation. You have a showstopper at running back, and in my opinion, you got one of the top 5 or 7 receivers in the NFL at wide receiver in Drake London. You've got an offensive line that's also pretty good. So the Cousins thing has to be handled mathematically, certainly the right way, but I think also it's got to be handled not just as a 2026 decision, but maybe as one for the next 2 or 3 years as well.
Brilliant. Well laid out. Stefanski is from the Norv Turner tree. So
yeah.
Tight ends and the electrifying Bijan Robinson and other running backs, they're going to get people excited, don't you think? I mean, Kevin's really good with these tight ends and running games.
Yeah, I think there's going to be I think we're going to have multiple 3 tight end sets. How's that? I think also here's the other thing too, and you've seen this clearly. We don't define the tight end as what the tight end was, with John Mackey, right? I'm not even sure the tight end's what Tony Gonzalez is. I think you can have a tight end who's an inline blocker, and you can have a tight end who is offset, and you can have a tight end on the other side who's actually on the line too. So for me, it gets interesting. And I think anybody who's got his kind of tree, if you will, from an experience standpoint, and then add kind of what Tommy did. And I went back and just kind of Googled some of his formation packages from Alabama when he was the OC there. And I think that's where the Robinson stuff starts to come into play because he ran a lot of 11 personnel at Alabama to success. And I think with the wide receivers that Atlanta has, plus the offensive line and Seven's ability to make plays in space, as we all know, I think that may be a recipe for success, whether Kirk Cousins, Michael Penix, or you or me are a quarterback.
Wes, how close is Penix to returning?
Oh, I think it's an approximate at best. He told Zach Klein at WSB TV August. I think that's for a November ACL.
Wow.
And reconstruction PA. I think that's aggressive, don't you? I mean, I just don't see August as being a potential timeline. Now, maybe Michael's a fast healer. Maybe he's ahead of the rehab right now, but August seems to be optimistic for me. I would think at best, if I were operating in the front office with Ian Cunningham, I'd be thinking about mid-October as potentially his earliest return. That would be almost 11 months.
Yeah.
And given the history he's had with this type of injury, I think that's probably the safest way to play it right now.
All right, last one. Wes Durham, elite NFL and college basketball and football. Vox.
You're very kind. Thank you. You're very kind to say that.
Well, you are. I mean, you're very good at what you do, man, and you do it into many microphones with a bunch of different sports. That's hard to do. I think it's very good.
I appreciate it.
Wesley, you guys lost a heartbreaker to New England. And like our beloved Vikings, got dusted by the Seahawks. Who do you like in the Super Bowl and why?
Remember what I told you 2 years ago about this time of year?
Go ahead.
Remember you called me and I was on, you asked me about the quarterbacks coming out in the draft?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Drake May.
Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, and I told you the best one would be Drake May, right?
Yeah, North Carolina. That's right. I'll never forget it.
That's who I'm going with Sunday.
Right. Yeah.
Much as I like the Seattle story, and I think, by the way, I don't know how you feel about the guy. I think Mike McDonald is like the next guy.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
And boy, is he good. Holy cow.
Yeah.
And Sam Darnold deserves a lot of credit. I think you recognize that from having probably been with him last year.
Yeah.
What he's done this year in Seattle is to be admired and respected for sure. But Drake May's got the juice, man. That kid has done things in 2 years in the NFL. I didn't doubt his ability or his acumen or his athleticism, but he and Vrabel have been a hell of a match this year. He's really done a terrific job for them.
Hey, do you go to the NFL scouting combine? Because I'm looking for very, very early guest inclusion before I totally decide if I'm going.
I've never been to the combine, believe it or not. In 22 years of doing the Falcons, I'm hoping my broadcast partner Dave Archer gets to go. He'd love to huddle up with you. You know that.
Good. I got his number too. Hey, you're fantastic. Thank you for the great messages. Love you very much, bud, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, man. You too. Be well, PA. Always fun.
See ya. That's Wes Durham. If you're watching ACC basketball this evening, he's in Louisville, and he's fantastic. Wes Durham. Don't leave home without him. Speaking of fantastic, football immortality, Gary Kubiak joins 9 to noon next. Some Super Bowl stories yesterday with two-time Super Bowl champion Norv Turner, former offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. You can find that via podcasting at KFAN.com. And Norv was followed by Mike Holmgren, a three-time Super Bowl champion, including one with Green Bay. And Mike Holmgren had some wonderful Super Bowl stories and conversation about the current state of offenses in the National Football League and how age-old scenarios and or adages ring true, even in 2025, 2026 in the National Football League, and involving tight ends and running backs. And he coached the Green Bay team where Desmond Howard, more known as a returner and a special teams guy than a wide receiver, despite winning the Heisman in Michigan. Desmond Howard was the Super Bowl MVP the year Mike Holmgren won it, coaching the Green Bay Packers. And Desmond's the only special teamer in the history of the award to win most valuable player in a Super Bowl. I think he had a 99-yard kick return as part of that Super Bowl victory. And, Mike Holmgren, as we await the arrival of Gary Kubiak, with Wes Durham, the Atlanta Falcons, 22-year play-by-play voice, also calls 2 or 3 basketball games a week for ESPN and the ACC. I mentioned to Wes that Kevin Stefanski is he's from the Norv Turner tree to a certain extent. Really, the Brad Childress has a tree with limbs also, and he brought Kevin to Minnesota in 2006. But when Kevin got his first his first coaching job with a position, it was tight ends for the Minnesota Vikings, I believe in 2014. And Norv Turner gave him that opportunity because he recognized Kevin, very smart, Kevin, very calm, and Kevin cares very much. And tight ends are and were important to Norv Turner. So he gave that spot to Kevin Stefanski, his first position coach job, and Kevin thus became a limb, so to speak, on the Norv Turner tree. Well, Mike Holmgren, we could go way down the road on this with Mike Holmgren. I don't have it in front of me right now, so just top of the head, like Steve Mariucci. He was a limb on the Mike Holmgren tree. I believe John Gruden was a limb on the Mike Holmgren tree, as was Andy Reid, where Andy, as an offensive line coach at Missouri, all right, he had coached college football for X amount of years, but he knew Coach Holmgren from their days together at Brigham Young University. And so therefore, Mike believed in Andy. Andy was looking for an opportunity. And when the Green Bay Packers won that Super Bowl with Desmond Howard as the MVP, Brett Favre the quarterback, I believe Dorsey Levens the running back, and so on and so on. Maybe there were some Donald Driver daggers. But Andy Reid was an assistant offensive line coach for Mike. And he also was offensive quality control, which is generally a starting point for a lot of coaches around the National Football League. And that's about 30 years ago. So lo and behold, Andy Reid from the Holmgren tree, he is cinch Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer when he's done coaching. And it all started with Mike Holmgren. Now, if and or when we find Gary Kubiak, Gary, when he got here around 2020, Gary Kubiak, from the not McVay, but the Shanahan tree.
Shanahan.
Yeah, Mike Shanahan. Thank you. From the Mike Shanahan tree. And then from that, we have Kyle Shanahan and we have Sean McVay. Kevin O'Connell played for it. He's kind of part of that with the middle zone attacking and stuff like that. And Gary Kubiak's, how about this? And you think we're in peril here with Gary?
I think we might have some Blitnikoff home number terrorism here right now. Talked with Gary, texted, called Gary.
Yeah.
Everything seemed fine as of yesterday afternoon, and
right.
so
All right.
I guess schedules might change.
Yeah. Well, if he
you were just praising me for putting the schedule together, and now I'm trying to call Larry Zonka's fax line.
That's an elite job. You've done an elite job. But I'm
going to keep trying, absolutely.
But think about this for 1 second. Clint Kubiak, Gary's son, offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
Gary has two other sons. One is a scout for the Dallas Cowboys. I think his name is Klein. But his other son, Clay, is the offensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, wow.
So you got, so just think of, if you're Gary, and if we get him, I'm going to ask him about this. It's, for whom do you root? If your dad and son is coordinating against son, offense, I guess you just root for like a 72-68 game.
Yeah, just some sort of tie. No, it is kind of interesting, and I know this can devolve into like nepotism related conversations in terms of XYZ high end coach and or player. You see their sons finding their way through the coaching ranks, and certainly inside the fraternity that can be a part of the talker. But over the course of time, whether you're mentioning the branches that kind of spread out from Holmgren's time with the Packers and Andy Reid, to be honest, until you chatted with Holmgren about it yesterday, I had no freaking idea.
I didn't either.
So I didn't dig deeply enough with Mr. Holmgren. But Shanahan, Mike Shanahan, there's a Belichick conversation going on right now about HOF. And you think about Mike Shanahan and all those fantastic years he had coaching. But Kubiak comes, I believe not to mention backing up and playing and going to Super Bowls. Sadly, I believe losing them with Elway and the Broncos in his playing days. I think he's the QB coach mid-early 90s. It would have been the 94 season when the Niners just absolutely thrashed the Chargers and Stan Humphries and all those guys. But then finding his way back to back working with Mike Shanahan again. And now his kid, and you can tell me if I'm wrong on this, but from Stefanski getting the job, starting with the 2020 season with the Browns, 2020 would have been Gary doing some OC work / assistant head coaching duties, other just ancillary. He's in the meeting rooms, certainly back into Zimmer's tenure. But then Clint, the OC in 2021.
Yeah.
It was he's too young. He's clearly only got the job because Gary gave it to him. Or
Doesn't talk enough.
He doesn't talk enough.
Yeah.
He's not able to articulate the offense, all of those things.
Yeah, Clint's still, because I've watched some of his press conferences, over the last month and change, as part of them at least. Still a very soft-spoken, underspoken, yet calculated Kubiak. He's just a very soft-spoken guy.
Yeah, he was. And so, but then Zimmer's let go at the end of the year, and all of that's a wash, and enter Kevin O'Connell. I always felt like from Vikings fans in totality, and just thinking about a bad 2021 that at one point even featured
Mannion's back in, passes over the middle, incomplete. Yeah.
As bad as that year was, I think people were excited, like, okay, Clint didn't have it, couldn't figure out this offense, new regime, let's wash our hands of it. And I think Clint was kind of caught up in that, we're moving on from all of it. None of it was good enough, et cetera.
Yeah.
But then you fast forward, again, he doesn't talk enough. I just thought, listen to Sam Darnold here, Super Bowl week, talking about Clint Kubiak in particular.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. Just the things that I learned when I was with Clint in 23, just schematically, and then getting to learn from him as a coach as well and as a person, just the grit.
Wow.
He wakes up at insane hours. He gets to the facility at 4:30 in the morning, and he's there later than anyone. He's just he's a grinder. He loves football, and he's very honest, and he's very forthcoming with his players that I think, a lot of myself and a lot of the guys really appreciate about him.
But first and foremost, just listen to the pop and the joy and the clarity and articulation and enunciation and joy and happiness in the voice of Sam, the man who used to be on the Fan.
Sam's in a really good spot right now.
Yeah, right?
He's feeling pretty good.
I agree. And it's interesting, with Darnold. All right. Can he handle the heat? Has that conversation completely come to a conclusion? Because we have one left.
We got one left.
There's a lot of heat.
Yeah.
A lot of heat in this one coming up. It's different. I was thinking about this yesterday, because a couple of days ago, I was like, FIDA, Fairness and Sam Darnold Act. All right. I'll never forget Week 18 at Ford Field and the totality of the day and the rumors that were bouncing around about certain things, and then the game and the missed receivers. And you watch it back and you're like, well, I mean, the moving company did everything right. And the kids, and Jefferson, Naylor, and all those guys did everything right. Hawkinson, middle of the field. And, courtesy of what seemed to be the yips, they just were missed.
That's right.
In a very winnable game. I draw a line through the Rams playoff game. Okay, Darnold probably held the ball too long a few times, but sacked 9 times. That ain't all on Sam.
I think that entire operation on that day just was kind of ill-fated.
Yeah, and where the state, where the game was, and just everything that went into it. So now you get to this year for Sam, the man who used to be on the Fan, and he led the National Football League in turnovers. I mean, that's fact about Sam Darnold. He had the most turnovers of any player in the NFL. Fumbles and interceptions combined, obviously. Then he gets a crack against the LA Rams. The first kind of major pressure moment type game he has, donning the colors of the Chickens. Throws 4 picks. Throws 4 interceptions.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, well, that's who they said you were, and you're kind of, it's bearing fruit. That's who you are. And then he tries to drive them down to win the game with a very long kick from Jason Myers, and they didn't win the game.
Didn't work.
But then we move forward, and he has the oblique. Got a very big game against San Francisco coming up. And that's Clint Kubiak coordinating the Chickens, and his brother Clay coordinating an injury-riddled 49ers team. All right, and Darnold has an oblique, so there's a built-in excuse there if things go pear-shaped. He threw 12 times. He was 7 of 12. So did they only let him throw 12 times in that spot? Or was what was required to win a game like that?
Yeah.
The latter would be the correct answer. And then you get the NFC title game. He was fantastic.
Yeah, he was unbelievable.
He was fantastic. So
that's the key too. Is he threw another 2 picks in the second Rams matchup too. The primetime.
Oh wow!
Darnold makes that late drive to go ahead, and just everyone's pumped. I think that was a Thursday night game.
Yeah, he hit Barner to win it.
Into that game against the Rams, the conversation is if they can't run the Seahawks, if they can't run the way that they have. And you're looking at, they put a $175 on the Niners. Of course, he only had to throw 12 times. A $180 in that season, the regular season finale against the Niners, $163, $171. You kind of get the hint how they were moving things with that freight train. Charbonnet at this time is healthy through all of that. I wonder how that plays into the rushing attack. But the idea of Sam rising to the occasion, I think what you saw in that NFC title game has a lot of people saying that it is over.
Yeah.
That it is where we are beyond that now.
Yeah.
Which leads you down foregone conclusion road is as we look ahead at the Super Bowl. I'm not ready to get there yet. He does have one more. Go do it. Go finish it off. You have the better team.
Yeah.
And you have the better weapons, I think, in totality. You have more experience versus the second-year cat, as good a year as Drake Mays had. Just now, go win it. Go finish it off, my man. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited for him to have that opportunity. But you hear it in his voice, getting back to that audio, how much he is connected with Clint during his short time out there. He also had glowing things to say about Minnesota during this process and everything, acknowledging what he learned from Kevin O'Connell along the way. But he looks at Clint. He looks at his time in San Francisco very lovingly and how important that was to him kind of turning this ship around in his career. And he has a terrific opportunity to close this thing out and hoist a Lombardi. And we're just going to have to sit and be spectators and enjoy it on Sunday here. So I wish I could have played that for Gary, by the way. We might have time zone terrorism now.
No, here's the deal. Let's see. Gary's wife has texted me.
Oh.
Gary's come down with the flu. I saw his phone was blowing up a little bit. If he's better, maybe he can call you guys tomorrow. But it's not a good day, so sorry. That
was nice. That was nice of her to text. Sorry,
wife Rhonda.
Uncle Gary coming down with the bug.
It's like, whose number's that? All right. Well, maybe tomorrow for football immortality, Gary Kubiak. But one thing I was going to bring up with him is Clint Kubiak, his son. I mean, just think about, I have a 25-year-old son, 22-year-old daughter, and have lived in the same home for about 10 or 11 years. And before that, I lived in another home for quite some time. Nordo has 3 beautiful daughters. What are the twins? 10?
10.
The twins are 10. Hannah's 2.5?
2.
There we go. Okay. Lived in a western suburb house for X amount of years now, raising a family.
Yeah.
And that's what a majority of working world or working USA knows. I mean, it's like kind of all we know. And I guess some would say it's preferred. Now, Clint, he's also a family man. How about the last half decade for him? He was in Minnesota as offensive coordinator in 2021. Then each year from 2021, he goes to Denver in 2022, then San Francisco in 2023, then New Orleans as the offensive coordinator in 24, then to Seattle this year. I mean, I don't know. Does the family stay in Houston with the Kubiaks? Like, how do you navigate that? Teams, they will, roll over and absolutely do their very best to make sure things with your family is comfortable.
Yeah.
They'll help you find places to rent, places to buy, things like that. They get everything, if not most things, set up for you spectacularly. And the Vikings over the years have been really, really good with that, with the assistant, Henry, for the head coach, Kevin, or if it was Mary working with a bunch of coaches before that. They're just very dialed into knowing, hey, this has been tough, man. You were in Minnesota in 21, then Denver, then San Francisco, then New Orleans. Now you're here. So let us take a load off you so that you can focus on what they hired you to do. So if and/or when Clint Kubiak becomes the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, no guarantees there. It's kind of a free spot on the bingo card with those coaching jobs that were open. And hopefully he can settle in there for X amount of years. But just if everybody listening or Nordo or yours truly, if you just take a step back and think, what would it be like with, let's say, 6-year-old twins, and then you have laughing, crying baby in the equation, and you're in Minnesota. All right, well, now Hannah's 1. Where are we going? We're going to Denver. Now Hannah's 2. Where are we going? And we're going to San Francisco. And then we're going to New Orleans. And then we're going to Seattle. I mean, I just can't imagine that's easy.
No, I think, I guess if I'm putting myself in that position, that means my gal's not working. So that kind of changes maybe day-to-day dynamics in terms of what's happening at home.
Yeah, and you probably saw it with your brothers and your father and, wife and or husband. I mean, a coach would know what they're getting into as they look to ascend. Yeah,
kind of somebody that grew up like that is now actually on the managing end of it. So there would definitely be some differences. I honestly, I think immediately to friendships and relationships in season and just kind of what juggling, new spot, what school are they going to go to, and just trying to connect them. Maybe a lot of their friends end up being, other kids as part of coaching staffs and stuff like that. It sounds like it's difficult. It sounds like it's arduous. I think all of us in one way or another want to plant our flag and have that home base. And so, but hey, the life of a coach, there are many frustrating angles of it. I think a lot of people would say, hey, that's kind of a blessed craft actually as well. So there's a lot of good things, and maybe managing and tackling that scheduling and the chaotic part of it. I'm sure a lot of people out there would be like, you know what, I'd be up for the challenge. It'd be weird, it'd be different, but I'd be up for that challenge.
Somebody up for a challenge of covering the Minnesota Vikings for a decade and change now is Ben Gessling. And during the season, it was courtesy of Standard Heating and Air. We thank them very much for their inclusion. The Scribe is going to join us around the corner on KFAN.